Today I want to show you how to do the points on the baby star. Let's do this! Now that we have our two pentagons, our two 5-sided pieces, we want to mark one of the edges here. An edge is just from one line of holes to another line of holes. It might be slightly curved, so just go with the holes, it's a little bit easier. You're going to take a stitch marker or a piece of yarn or anything you have, and you're just going to mark one side. It's not necessary if you are very good at remembering, but I find it very useful to sort of just remember that this is the edge that we're using for something else, whereas the others we're going to use now. We're going to put points on them, and that's what I'm going to show you. But just to begin with, we're going to make a point on each of the 4 sides. This is going to be where the hood is, that's why we leave that till later. These 2 are going to be for the arms, and the 2 down here are going to be like this. It's going to be for the legs. So actually, let me go and get a piece of baby clothing and I'll show you. Okay, so I went and got some. I'll just show you. I think this might be good. So basically, this is just sort of a night thing for a newborn, and as you can see, this is going to be where the head is, right? So the opening is in our thing is quite big. Then we'll have the arms here, and most of it will be the hands, because the back piece is quite large this time. And then of course we have with the legs that we have a point here, and then our legs is going to be like this instead. So, yeah. I'll just... and maybe this is more, for some people, more a little easier to understand, but we will have all of this space is going to be just wasted because we need it for the star, but we don't need it for the actual baby, really. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I will leave some drawings here also for you to look at, to get where you need to make the points. But we need to work between, so on an edge is between one line of holes and another line of holes. And we just need to start somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's on the back. We're going to be working back and forth, so there is no front when you work back and forth. So I will just attach my yarn out here at the very first stitch. And what I do is I just lay my yarn like this. I just fold it, and then I grab it with my hook. Here we go, with my hook. And then I will just weave in half of this tail now and half of it later. So half of it will be in the stitches right here. And then the other half I need to, or I like to work in the other way. So here I will just chain 3. And then I will do 1 double crochet in each stitch until I get to the other row of holes, meaning that I'll just work across here to the other side. And as you can see, I am working with my tail just on top of the work. I'm still, of course, going through the stitches down here, but I just have the end of the tail in between them. So it just catches. And you still have to well, you can leave this now. It probably won't unravel, but I do think that it's nice to have the other direction on it too. So when I go back, I will put it over this stitch and then through these. I just think that makes it, yeah, I'm just paranoid. I like to know that my stitches aren't going anywhere. So at this point, you might... So basically, when you did the pentagon, you were counting your stitches sort of occasionally. So you know that you have sort of the right stitch count. And therefore, we actually don't really need to keep counting and counting and counting, because these points are pretty easy to do. And the pattern is just sort of... what do you want to call it? It's just... You'll see. We just need to decrease in every side of it until we get a point. So it doesn't really matter how many stitches there are. So I'm sorry, I know a lot of you really hate this kind of instruction, but I will tell you, work one stitch till you hit the other side, and then just follow the instructions for every row, rather than give you like a precise stitch count, because I think it's a little bit counterproductive for you to worry about having one more or one less, when really what you need to do is just decrease in every side. We haven't gotten to that point yet, so right now you just need to do 1 double crochet in each stitch, because we need... oh, there's a bit of dog hair here. Luckily this one is for my... I think I will keep this one, so it doesn't really matter if dog hair gets caught in it. I made one for a lady and she didn't pay very much for it, so I didn't bother too much, but I tried to sort of always keep the work area clean, and when I wasn't working on it, it was in a closed bag, just to keep all of the dog hair out, because you don't want to be shipping people stuff and it's like filled with your own hair and dog hair and stuff. But I am not too fussy. If it stays in this house, it will be filled with dog hair anyway. So now I'm at the edge here, and all I want to do is just chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and flip it. So we're now on the, what I would consider the back side anyway. And now we're just going to do 1 double crochet back. Nope. Yeah, 1 double crochet in each stitch, all the way back. So we will just get a little bit of height before we start to decrease and actually make the points. But no, I was saying I actually like, this is probably just personal preference, and I'm probably quite alone in this, but I like instructions rather than patterns. Not that I mind writing patterns, and especially if you're sort of starting out. I think beginner has a very negative connotation, but if you're just starting, you will be at a beginner level, and when you're at that, you need the pattern, and you need the very precise sort of, what do I do in the next stitch, and what about the next, and what about the next. But I increasingly, as I have crocheted more and I have knitted more and all of these things, I kind of tend to like the loose instruction. So something like work until you have 20 centimeters, or I don't know what 20 centimeters is in inches, like 9 maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But work until you have a certain length, and then decrease in the left side until you have this length or this width, or sort of working from just the loose idea about how something should be, I think sometimes can be very freeing. I don't know, it might just be me. I had a comment on my pumpkin video, because we are in October again, and it's basically like, she didn't like the way I think she didn't like the way I had written my pattern, or she might not have been able to actually see it in her browser. That might also be the, I made it as a picture, rather than just writing it in words. And I just, I just gave her like loose instructions, and I am very unsure of whether that helped at all. But to me, it's like you increase for this amount of time, and then you do just one single crochet in each for this amount of time, and then you so just sort of, yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I think I might need to go back and actually make a pattern, because she might have been a little lost with my loose instructions, and I will try and give you now the loose instructions for how this works, and then I will show you every step. So hopefully you will actually know exactly what I mean, even though I am not going to give you the exact stitch count. So here we go. First, chain 3. And then turn. So we're now at the front again. We have our tail here to prove it. Then you're going to do 2 double crochet together. You do that by yarning over, going into the first stitch, getting a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You're then going to yarn over and go through 2 only. So you now have 2 loops on your hook. On your work, you're now going to have 1 half double crochet, or that doesn't make any sense. You're going to have a half worked, I will perhaps call it double crochet. Now yarn over, but don't go through these 2 stitches. You're going to go into the next stitch, get a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, go through 2. So now I have 3, and on the work you can see you have 2 half worked stitches, and then the stitch from before, which in this case is just your chain 3. Now you're going to yarn over and go through all 3. So you now have 2 double crochet on this, but you only have 1 stitch up here. So you have decreased by 2. Now work every stitch. Just do 1 double crochet in every stitch until you have 2 stitches left on this side. And this is where I think a lot of you will probably prefer me to tell you exactly how many stitches are here, but I really can't, because you might have, like, let's say you have a baby of 6 months now. You just saw the night thing that I have for my child when he arrives at some point. It's of course for a newborn, so this is also going to be the size of a newborn, but if you have a 6-month-old baby, this is not going to fit, so you might have worked the pentagon a lot bigger. And therefore I cannot really tell you the actual stitch count. I can of course tell you how many I have, but I am not sure that actually helps anything. My tension might be different, kind of rambling now. I'm just trying to get to the other side here. Oh. So now I have 2 stitches left. I am working... Do I? No, now I have 2 stitches left. And I am going to decrease again. So again, I'm going to yarn over, go into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over again, go into the last stitch on this row, pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, go through 2, Oh, here we go. And then I'm going to yarn over and go through 3. Now this row, I am going to continue all the way up until I am done. So I am going to decrease at the beginning and at the end of every row. Then I'm going to work 1 double crochet across, and that's it. And of course, we also need to start every row with a chain 3. So I'm just going to go over it again. I hope this won't be too pedantic. So chain 3, turn the work. Then you're going to do a decrease 2. So there's my 2 stitches, and then I will go through the last 3. Then I'm going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across. When we have 2 stitches left, you can count on the... If you can't see the stitches, because we're at the edge and we have some decrease things here, you can always count on down here. So you know you will have 1 here. Did that again. You know you are going to have 1 and then 2 together. So here's 1 stitch and here's another stitch. So yarn over, go into the first one, finish that halfway. Yarn over, go into the next one, finish that double crochet here we go, halfway. So you have 3 stitches on the hook. Yarn over and go through all 3. And I am basically, I think I'll shut up now and just show you the rest. But it's going to be exactly the same all the way up to the top. Oh, and last thing, don't worry about the edges out here. They're going to be really ugly and sort of... But we are going to crochet this together later with single crochets, and therefore they will be straighter. So you don't have to worry about the... it sort of becomes a little bit of a ladder, and of course we don't... That was not the kind of star we really wanted. So we will fix that later, don't worry. So when we get to the end, we will have a decrease and then one stitch and then another decrease, and this marks the end of this point, and we just need to cut the yarn and then do the other 4 points. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next Friday.